Yes. All right, this is a story that Rabbi Mendel Futterfass used to tell this story. That once there was a town, I don't know if it was in Lubavitch, but it was a Chassidic, Chabad Chassidic community. And this is in the time of the Rebbe Rashab. Now, the time of the Rebbe Rashab was when there was the World War II. World War II, I think it ended in like in 1917 or something. And when the Russians had a terrible army, they were losing all over the place. Hundreds of thousands of people were getting killed right and left. And of course, all the Jews did everything they could to get out of the army. So they would go to the Rebbe Rashab, and the Rebbe Rashab would give one of three blessings. One blessing he would give is they aren't going to see you at all. God should help, they won't see you at all. That was the best blessing of all. That meant that you won't get inducted into the army. The other blessing was that God will help. I have to look and see what it is, exactly the language of it. That God will help. God will help, no need to worry, something like that. That meant that you should go to a doctor and get some sort of a exemption. There were people that used to break their hand. There was a hentala. Some people would act like were crazy. Some people would, anyway, whatever. And then there were some people that would get the blessing that Hashem will protect you wherever you are. And that means that you're going to get inducted into the army, but God will protect you. You'll be okay. You'll get out miraculously, which of course nobody wanted to do that, but if that's what was decreed. Okay, so the story is like this, that there was a young man in the city, I think it was Lubavitch, but I'm not sure, it could have been. And this young man was engaged to be married to a Chabad young man was going to get married to this girl, Chabad girl. And but it was on the condition, because everyone was getting inducted into the army and nobody knew if they were going to come back from the army. So he said only on the condition, there was a condition that they made that you have to receive the exemption papers from the army and then we'll make the wedding. So the young man said, okay. So he had his appointment with the induction service was like in another 4 months. So he went to the Rebbe Rashab. He went to the Rebbe Rashab to ask for a blessing. So the Rebbe went in and the Rebbe Rashab said, they won't put their eyes on you at all. They won't see you at all. The best blessing. He's going to be exempt from the army. Now everybody had to go into the draft board, right? But they would check you, and the ones who the Rebbe gave the blessing to, some reason unexplainedly, they would just stamp and say, okay, you're out. And it happened every time that the Rebbe gave the blessing. So this young man went to his father-in-law and said, good news. He said, I went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said to me that they won't notice me at all, which means I won't get inducted. And the father-in-law said, just one second. The agreement that we made was that you'll have the actual letter of exemption in your hand from the Russian army. Things can happen. I want you to go and get this letter of exemption from the army from the government. That's all I'm asking. The young man said, listen, that's going to be 4 months away. I can't make it any earlier, and I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait. If your daughter doesn't want to marry me, or if you have your reservations, let's call the whole thing off. I'll go and I'll find another girl that'll get married. The father said, whoa, 1 minute. I really like you. You're really a fine man and everything. I'm just asking to be, a little bit, reasonable to be. Said, no, the Rebbe said. So he said, listen, let's do like this. Let's go to the rabbi. We'll go to the rabbi of the community. He's a Chabad Chassid. And we'll go to the rabbi and the rabbi was a genius person. It doesn't say in the story who the rabbi was. I'll go to the rabbi and we'll ask the rabbi what he says. And whatever he says is okay with me. So the rabbi, they went to the rabbi, and the rabbi heard both sides, and he said to the young man, "But I don't understand. You could wait 4 months. Why don't you?" And the young man said, "But the Rebbe gave his blessing," and they saw that the rabbi, he made a sort of a little smile, like, what can we do with a boy like this? He has this, the simple faith, come on, be a little bit logical, he gave a smile. So the Rebbe gave a blessing, wait a couple months. He gave this little smile. So it doesn't say what happened, if they actually did get married or they didn't get married, but it seems from the story that they did get married. But they did get married, so okay, if the Rebbe said, but that little smile that the rabbi gave, that little smirk, it got around that the Rebbe made, that the rabbi had this little a doubt, if you want to call it, a little bit of, lacking enthusiasm, trust in the Rebbe. And it eventually got around, and the people of the community made so much trouble for the rabbi that eventually he had to leave. He had to leave. And what does it mean? It means total, if the Rebbe is a regular person, a very smart person, a very great person, a very holy person, but he can make a mistake, it's possible to. But if we say that the Rebbe is really a prophet, and the Rebbe is a totally different type of a human being, he's God's present to us. So that means whatever he says is exactly right. Okay, we're not the chief rabbi, and nobody's going to, punish us if we smirk or whatever. It's up to us what attitude we should take. We're totally free. But nevertheless, there is definitely, this is what is required of us. This is what is required. To read the words of the Rebbe and to realize that what the Rebbe is saying is not just good advice to us, it's an order for us, and it's also a blessing that we can do everything that's there. So here we have in this mimer, talking about that every Jew is relevant to Re'uta Deliba and to Kabbalat Ol, right? Arousing the deepest aspects of your heart, and also arousing the deepest aspects of self. We want to call it the involvement that there could possibly be, just totally throwing yourself 100% into what the words of the Rebbe are, because the goal of the Rebbe is the goal of Abraham started, to fix the whole entire world up. L'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai. Is it possible to do? Of course not possible. What are you talking about? But if the Rebbe says it's possible, then we can do the impossible. What's the question? No question. No question. Is it logical? Not logical. Ruta Delib is not logical, and Kabbalat Ol is not logical. We're dealing with something not logical. And the world is in such a terrible state because it's logical. That's the way it is. But it has to be done darki noam, darki shalom. It has to be done in a nice way, in a pleasant way. But the Rebbe said, this is the last mimer, we didn't learn it for this year, that everyone should be crushed. Everyone should be crushed. That's what the Rebbe said. You got to be crushed. And we're in Gullus. And if we want to do it, I already told the story, so I'll tell you one little thing. This is what I think for Zion, for Gimel Tammuz. I heard these people talking that they wrote, somebody wrote to me, they sent to me, Chabad is the most successful organization in the world. Chabad. Did I tell you this before? No. Chabad is the most successful organization in the world. They have more institutions, they're constantly growing, they have influence on governments, they have money, they have a tremendous budget that they have, and there's so many people, and they have influence on so many people, and influence here and influence there, and they're growing and they're succeeding in this. So somebody asked me what I think. So I said, personally, I think like this, that, Chabad, the organization, we put all of our eggs in one basket in Chabad. All these things about, the Chabad houses and even the yeshivas, Tomchei Tmimim, and Chassidut, and the effect that we have and the success that we have, and all these things, this is only just a means to a goal. We've put all of our eggs in one basket. If we make this goal, then we're successful. If we don't have, then we're not successful. Like a person that makes a factory to make cars, and he hires the best genius minds, and he has the best, but he doesn't put out a car. No car comes out. Is it successful? Is it not successful? He has investors, he has this, people believe in him. Chabad is one thing, Mashiach. Only one thing. Chabad put all of their eggs in one basket, Mashiach. That which we're successful, and that which we have power, and that which we have Chabad houses, and that which we have Chassidim, and that which we have Bali Tshuvas, and that which we have money, and that which we have popularity, and we have an effect on other people, and we have this and this. This is all just in the middle. As long as Mashiach does not come, Chabad is the most not successful, the most unsuccessful organization maybe in the history of the world, because we have no other goal. And that should break our hearts. That should crush us. And it crushed the Rebbe. That's what the Rebbe said. Everything I've done is lehevel l'rik. The Rebbe said, what can I do? Everything I've done is lehevel l'rik. And that was the last sikh of the Rebbe, the last mimer of the Rebbe. That you have to be crushed. I said, what do you do if you're crushed? What are you supposed to do? Be crushed, go around and be crushed and cry and vein and sabrachan and this. You can do that, but that's what you want to do. What the Rebbe wants you to do is you have to be, the only way to break through the gullus is you have to be positive, you have to have simcha, you have to do, you have to go, and you have to ignore all of what happened in the past, ignore all the lack of success, ignore the whole thing. This should crush us and make us do more. Try to find how to do more. And if you want to cry, do it in your house alone. But the situation is terrible, terrible, worst in the world. On the other hand, in 1 second, the whole thing could flip around. 1 second. Like a hair of iron. And who's supposed to do it? Everybody points at somebody else. You guys, of course, what are you supposed to do it? Everyone's supposed to point to themselves and say, that the world gets me down. If the world makes me negative, then I'm part of the problem. And if a world makes me think, well, who am I? I can't do it. If these people didn't do it, I'm going to do it. Right? So that's gullus. That's called gullus. Gullus. So on one hand, we're supposed to be crushed totally, and that's supposed to motivate us to make a different world. And what do we have to do? Simple things. We're not talking about that you have to, stand up on top of a mountain or something. Just when you pray, it has to be a little more serious, a little more sincere, and you have to really pray. You have to pray also in your own words. Hashem, come on, bring Mashiach. Let's get out of here. We need Moses to take us out of Egypt. We can't do it on our own. But while we're here, I'll do what I can. Here we have the writings of the Rebbe. We have the writings. We have the letters of the Rebbe. We have the Maimorim of the Rebbe. We have the stories about the Rebbe. We have the inspiration about the Rebbe. And really, we have the Rebbe. What happened in Gimel Tammuz? Anybody who knows is a liar. Anyone who says, I got it figured out, he's a liar. He's not so. He's lying to himself. He's lying to you. But one thing, but tuach, for sure, the Rebbe is alive more than he ever was. And another thing for sure is that we're not in a good state. It shouldn't remain this way. We need something that's really, there's a lot of suffering going around in the world. Even by the non-Jews, there's a lot of suffering, a lot of suffering. And this all has to stop. And it will stop. And it just depends on us. One more good deed, one more good word, even one more good thought can tilt the whole world to the side of good. And suddenly, Mashiach now. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. God bless you all.
Shalom.
See you at 8:15 Sunday morning. Anyone does not come should bring a letter from their mother. 8:15. See you all.
Be there, be square.
Shabbat Shalom. See, how do I do this?